We know why you're here. You're curious if your thoughts line up with a couple of professionals. You want to see if we're up to the task of ranking every stage of Super Mario 64 correctly. You've seen so many rankings before. We're here to finally fulfill that dream. The dream of a perfect ranking. Inutsu, tell them how long we've been playing Mario.
Forever.
Exactly. Welcome to the ultimate ranking of every world. It's Super Mario 64. Number 15. Something had to be at the bottom, and I don't think there could be a more fitting pick than Shifting Sandland.
It's empty. The whole thing is sandy and boring. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Sure. What is wrong with this stage is that you have this humongous, massive overworld with almost nothing other than sand. Then this world is doubled when you enter the pyramid.
Okay, so it's a big world. Bigger's better, right?
That's what my ex-wife said. My therapist taught me that's wrong. And no better captured than here. The overworld feels like double the size of a world like Whomp's Fortress, but only holds 3 of the stage's total stars, with the other 3 stars deep in the pyramid, which doubles the stage again. It leaves the world feeling empty, without much to accomplish, and a slog to get the 100 coin star on top of everything else.
Well, at least it's all uphill from here.
Yeah, you'd think that, but...
Number 14. Tiny Huge Island has probably the coolest gimmick in the game. The small painting takes you to a tiny version of the island, and the giant painting takes you to a huge version, both with their own cool and exciting adventures to complete. So why is it so far down?
Because they did a bad job implementing it? Because once you know the level, you'll never enter the giant painting? Because traveling in the huge world is awful and should always be avoided unless 100% necessary? Because traversing the world as Giant Mario, while fun at first, loses its luster once you realize it's just a vehicle to get you to a pipe so you can shrink down and complete the mission as Mini Mario. Because regardless of if you're big or small, there's basically nothing to do until you reach the destination. Because
I get it, Ian. Maybe the next 3D Mario game will have a better Tiny Huge world.
Number 13. Alright, I feel like this one might be controversial because it's definitely one of the more unique themes in the game. What's leaving Big Boo's haunt so low?
Boo is scary!
You're right. Alright, next level.
Wait!
What?
The giant eyeball is also scary!
You're right. Maybe we missed something.
Nah, I mean, there's the fact that Big Boo is reused 3 times, that there's practically no danger, and the worst case scenario is just being annoyingly inconvenienced. The move away from the extensive freedom provided by most of the levels in favor of small rooms with fixed camera angles that are implemented to varying levels of success. The fact that Giant Eyeball is the worst boss in the game. But other than that, nah, I think we're good.
Alright then. Moving on to...
Wait!
What is it now?
Scary piano. Number 12. Of all the game's water levels, I don't think I would have expected Dire Dire Docks to be at the bottom. Don't get me wrong, I agree with this. It just feels unnatural, you know?
What's unnatural is the 2 giant, mostly empty toilet bowls of water that are arbitrarily connected with an excessively long tunnel, showcasing one of the worst examples of the game's boot-up mechanics.
Even if you didn't spend so much time swimming around, the stars just aren't that much to speak of when you get right down to it. Swimming behind the manta ray through hoops that just don't work as well as they should, opening 4 treasure chests for the 3rd time this playthrough, putting on the metal cap so you can walk to a star and then the invisibility cap so you can swim to one, they're lame.
Not to mention that until you get rid of Bowser's sub, it tanks the game's frame rate when it's on screen. Maybe that was his big plan, make the game unplayable since you can't beat Mario fair and square. Number 11. Hazy Maze Cave is another unique world, leaving you in a cramped maze filled with caverns to explore and even a new friend to find. But once you get past meeting the love of your life, Dory, what else is there?
I'd assume the rest of your life? With the love of your life?
Then why didn't I hear from Dory again until Odyssey, Inutsu?
Because you spent that entire time trying to find 100 coins in the level so you could finish your 100% save, so he took the kids and left you?
Hey, I'll have you know I got the 100 coins with only a moderate amount of pain and suffering this time. It was the 8 red coins that kept me away.
This level has some of the fastest stars in the entire game, especially if you're privy to some speedrun tricks, but it's also a host to 2 of the worst stars in the game. Dory is great, but I think this is a fitting spot for the stage. Number 10. Jolly Roger Bay managed to barely avoid being the worst water level in the game.
The level is about as good as you could have hoped for from a dedicated water level, I guess, since swimming is so far removed from the game's core platforming focus. But when you get right down to it, it just really can't compete with any of the truly good levels. The limitations of swimming aren't as bad as Dire Docks, since you can use the cannon to minimize the amount of swimming required.
Yeah, good thing that cannon is there, that we both remembered the whole time. It'd have been really embarrassing if you'd ranked this as the worst level in the entire game, gone on a 10-minute rant about how bad the swimming is, and that it could have jumped up 5 places if only it had a cannon to get around most of the tedium. Right? Right, Ian? It's good that didn't happen, right? Ian, right? Right, Ian? Good thing, Ian? Good thing, Ian, right? Right, Ian? Good thing? It didn't happen that way, Ian? And good thing, right? Right?
Number 9. I love Snowman's Land.
I hate Snowman's Land.
I love fun.
I hate fun.
I love that we've finally come back to a more standard open level. No movement halting gimmicks like sand, lava, or tunnels. It's a world reminiscent of the best parts of Bob's Battlefield and Wom's Fortress. Nothing really stopping you from going where you want to go, exploring how you want to explore. Even the part that is behind a slight barrier, you're rewarded with a Koopa Shell to explore the level in a whole new light, leading into one of the most fun 8 red coin stars in the entire game.
I hate that they recycled the boss from Lethal Lava Land that they'd already recycled in Lethal Lava Land. I hate that the snowman blows you off of himself 4 seconds before you reach the star if the penguin walks the wrong way and you don't know to just stand on top of its head. I hate that the hardest part about In the Deep Freeze is looking behind yourself at the start to see it, and I hate that sometimes the coins are little wallet men that hurt you when you run into them.
I love all that stuff.
I hate you. Number 8. I think it's incredibly fitting that Lethal Lava Land sits exactly in the middle of our ranking, because it's so perfectly decent all the way around. Its boss fights aren't amazing, but they aren't awful. Its platforming isn't too easy or too hard. Visually, it isn't striking, but it's not boring either. Inside the volcano is cool, but not exceptional. It's just pretty good all around.
You keep describing Lethal Lava Land like it's just okay, but I don't know. I think it's pretty hot. Yeah? Huh?
Ian, are you saying you want to f*** the volcano?
Would you look at me differently if I said yes? Hey, Inutsu, aren't we forgetting something?
Are you talking about all the mini stages and Bowser levels?
I am! Don't they deserve to get ranked?
No, idiot! They don't! That's why I made a video on it. A video specifically ranking them. It's a YouTube short. Go check it out. Right now. You're in it. You sound great.
Oh! Number 7.
It's repetitive.
I understand that, and sure, one of its flaws is the idea that you'll be climbing up to the top of the mountain for nearly 4 of its 6 stars.
Sounds repetitive.
And it can be, but what helps this level stand out isn't necessarily something you notice on your first playthrough. Every time you come back to the game, you discover a new way to travel up the mountain.
New repetition.
The end goal might be repetitious, but once you learn about the wind by the start to blow you up towards the top, or the Shy Guy to launch you across the gap skipping the log, or hell, even kicking up this slope here, basically planting you at the precipice of the mountain, you start to see the beauty in the design of the world.
So once you found the optimal way to reach the top, do you know what you do next time?
What?
You get up there the same way every time for 4 of the 6 stars. It's repetitive.
Could have just said that from the start. Didn't have to yell.
Number 6.
How did Wet Dry World manage to make it so high?
It's a good level.
No, it's not. It's an okay to poor level with a mysterious and interesting veneer plastered onto it.
I disagree. Once you get your bearings and can traverse the level without having to fiddle with the water level mechanic constantly, it becomes an incredibly rewarding experience.
Okay, let's say I buy that. What about before that happens?
Well, then you just swim around the level to get where you're going.
Swim, Inutsu? You need to swim in the 6th best level in Mario 64 if you're not an expert that can just skip it all.
I really don't think it's as big a deal as you're making it out to be.
Oh, you don't, huh? You don't think that this is a big deal? Well, maybe, but I just don't like it. I don't like this level, and I think it should have been like 9th place, max.
And I respect you and your ugly, gross hatred of this perfectly fine level.
Number 5.
Rainbow Ride is a good level that should have been a great level.
Its wide open design gives a huge array of potential movement options to traverse the level, allowing for everyone, from the unskilled beginner all the way up to the 10,000-hour speedrunning master, to take a path that's suited to their skill level.
The issue here, though, is that Rainbow Ride is quite possibly the worst example of Mario 64's reliance on bottomless pits and the boot-out system for difficulty. Is it worth it to push yourself to take on those greater challenges when the penalty for failure is another trek up and across this giant open world, particularly if you're already practically to the star and it's only another 20-second carpet ride in complete safety? The stiff penalties incentivize less skilled players to avoid pushing their limits as they near the end of their long journey to completing the game.
And in a level like Rainbow Ride, that's the absolute worst way to go about things. The rush you get from finding these quicker paths and successfully traversing them isn't even remotely comparable to the tedium of riding carpets with just the occasional easy platforming challenge.
Number 4.
Cool Mountain is a pretty cool level. The end.
Wait, Ian, don't you want to talk about how fun the level is?
The end.
You don't want to mention how great the slide is? How despite the fact you need to do it twice, it's still super fun because they're 2 different routes you can take?
The end.
You don't think we should mention how learning the level opens the world up to limitless, quick exploration opportunities? That it's got some of the most entertaining stars in the game? And that its only real sin is that it's too good at the basics and doesn't branch out quite enough to hit the upper echelon?
The end.
Okay, cool.
Number 3.
Alright, I think we're at the point now where we both agree. All these levels are just good.
Yeah, I've got no complaints. I think this level is great at teaching players what to expect from the rest of the game, and is maybe the best introduction to 3D gaming to date, assuming that you somehow only grew up with 2D games. There's a clear path leading you to the first intended star, while the path up there shows you different enemies to defeat, cannons, red coins, and even another star behind a gate. It teaches you so much without spelling out a single word.
Sure, as long as you ignore all the signs.
All the, what?
Yeah, there are signs all throughout the level, explaining all of that stuff that you just said, but instead of teaching it through gameplay, I kind of spelled it out with a bunch of words.
No, that's,
But it makes sense. It is the first stage. You know what stage doesn't have a bunch of signs telling you what to do? Number 2. One of the last stages in the game that also ends up being one of the most brilliantly designed.
It's unbelievably inventive how they managed to design this level. A corkscrew of linear platforming, littered with shortcuts that allow you to bypass some of that linearity in order to more quickly traverse the level.
And while Tall Mountain might ask you to repetitively reach the top of its level design, Tick-Tock Clock is smarter in how it rewards its stars. It understands that it can be a challenge to reach the top, so for every 20% or so that you make it through the level, it rewards you with another star.
That said, it definitely exemplifies why Odyssey's shift to keeping you in the world after collecting a star makes sense. Assuming you get every star in order, you will have to replay a bit of the level as you get back to that point before continuing on with the rest of the level.
But with that being just about its only fault, it's hard to imagine a better stage. And yet there is.
Number 1. Take everything brilliant about Bob-omb Battlefield's teachings and let the player loose. Womp's Fortress is the epitome of Super Mario 64's open level design. While Tick-Tock Clock is a linear challenge that begs you to champion it, Womp's Fortress gives you the entire world from the get-go, asks you to pick a direction, and have fun.
It implements just about everything that makes Mario 64 fun. It's a tightly designed level, with almost every inch of it being its own challenge or reward for making it there, from its platforming, enemy placements, and where it scatters its coins. It begs you to use the cannon in interesting and unique ways, either to skip to the top of the level easier, or to help collect 2 of the world's stars.
It even has its own boss fight and then rewards you by changing the layout of the stage, providing you with more opportunities to explore the map and challenge yourself for the level's various stars.
It's the perfect stage.
Sure, for Super Mario 64 at least.
What? You think there are better?
Hard to say. Guess we'll have to find out in our next ultimate ranking of every world in another Mario game.
Alright, there you have it. The ultimate ranking of every world in Super Mario 64 is complete. How do you feel, Ian?
I hate Wet Dry World.
I know you do, buddy. And don't forget to check out the mini stages mini ranking video we did. What do we have next in the pipeline, Ian?
Well, top 10 songs about being friend-zoned.
Oh. We'll workshop that one. Whatever we come up with, we'll see you next time.